That big arm with a yellow tape on it, that is the controller for the hydraulic valve, up and down. That household switch right there is definitely not UL approved. It's more like dirty underwear approved right there. Of course, UL means Underwriters Laboratories, but that's a household switch. But you know what? Somebody did that and made it work, and I applaud that. Make it work. Hey, Stephen Yanni here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts. It's November right now. There's no snow on the ground, but there sure will be pretty soon. And that's where a truck like this, 1969 Dodge W100 Power Wagon, would come into play. You can see right here the remains of the yellow snow on the front, probably a Fisher hydraulic pump right here. But this truck undoubtedly spent many a winter clearing the snow out of driveways, roadways, you name it ways, so that others could get around. Now this is a weird one. This is a 1969 Power Wagon. Now some would say the Power Wagon, that's that big monstrous WM series truck from 1946 through 68, right? Well, that's the whole thing. 68 was the last year that Dodge made the Power Wagon WM series monster for American distribution. For 69, they trickled the Power Wagon name down to any four-wheel drive Dodge pickup truck. You want proof? Well, here is a 1969 Dodge truck brochure. Here it is, all the new pickups and light-duty vehicles, vans and pickups right here. And again, it's 1969, and inside we can see where they're talking about the Power Wagon. Get to it right here. Yeah, Dodge Power Wagons, and it says stump pulling power at all four corners. And remember, the WM300, the big military Power Wagon, was dropped in 68 for American distribution. They still made them for export, but again, we can see right here, this is a W100 short bed, and that's the whole thing. That's a very rare body style right there. The short bed, four-wheel drive, half-ton, really bizarre. And it says here, this year, Dodge four-wheel drive Power Wagons, like the W100 swept line above, share in the advanced styling changes of Dodge light-duty models. Another way of saying that the old-school military-style Power Wagon was a thing of the past, and these were the future. Now here, you can get close to them. This here is a heavy duty. It says right here, for cargoes requiring big room, the W300 Utah line is even available with a huge 9-foot box. So basically, this was the replacement for domestic sales of the big Power Wagon, complete with the big drums and the huge brakes and wheels, all that kind of stuff. But these could be had with a V8, whereas the original WM series Power Wagon, no V8s ever, always a 6-cylinder. But anyway, speaking of that, let's find out what's going on under the hood of this one. And again, the four-wheel drive on this, of course, big 11-inch drums, leaf springs up front, no coil springs here. This is a man's truck, if you will, and this is born to carry the weight of a snowplow up front, again with upsized leaf springs so that when the plow came up, the nose of the truck didn't stoop down and sag. This is meant for plowing. But under the hood of this one, okay, there it is, the 318. Now right here, it's kind of interesting. It says 210 horsepower, 318 cubic inches. And that means this is the truck version. In a passenger car, the same basic engine was 230 horsepower, but this one does have the oil bath air cleaner, which is something you could get on a truck if you wanted it. And again, the oil bath has a dry, there's no dry filter element in this thing like a passenger car, but rather the oil traps particulate matter. Now the funny thing is, this 318 right here is called the LA series, the Wedge. Came along in 67. In 66, there was a 318 that was sold in these trucks. It was called the Poly. They both have the same 3.91-inch bore and 3.31-inch stroke. Same short block, basically. But the 67 up 318 was a lighter, more efficient engine, had Wedge cylinder heads versus the Poly heads. But again, we see the inner fenders, which were 61 through 71 on all of these Dodge trucks. Doubled as a tool tray, really, if you're working on your truck, put your tools right here. And again, it's something you won't find in a Ford or a GM truck, which had more of a rounded area here. But again, it was one of the things that Dodge touted as a helpful thing. And now this is a hydraulic plow lift. This is the hydraulic pump. It looks like a power steering pump, but this is actually belt driven by the fan belt, or by the crank, as it were. And this provides the hydraulic fluid and power and pressure to allow the raising and lowering of the plow blade. This right here is a valve. It helps to go up and down inside the truck. We're going to find in a second or two a lever that will attached to this thing, and of course this pump brings it all to life. But this thing was definitely a heavy-duty plow truck. But again, this is a short bed, of which only 1,773 were made, short bed half-ton W100s. And in fact, 1,707 of those were V8 powered, and check this out, 857 of these W100s had slant sixes with four-wheel drive. Really rare today. But again, the vast majority, 1,707, were V8 powered. But with that said, if this was a two-wheel drive D100, they made 40,000 of those in 1969 or thereabouts. So by comparison, 1,773, a drop in the bucket, short bed, four-wheel drive, half-ton, one rare Dodge truck. Now let's go over to here and let's have a look. Shane, if you want, go on ahead of me. We'll look inside the cab and see what we can learn. Now this, of course, is a custom cab. Here's the logo on the lower front here, custom cab, which tells us it's got the big rear window, custom cab right there. And again, the big window is helpful for, visibility, and of course gives the cab a lighter, airier feel as it allows more light in. And this one here has been cobbled. I guess what I'll say is I don't think these seats are the originals. And beyond that, it looks to me like there was some serious rust repair done on this thing. Here's some basic, square stock right here welded in, some flashing. So somebody whipped up, I think these are van seats that somebody plugged in here. This probably would have had a bench, but that's okay. This does have the optional New Process 435 4-speed manual transmission. There's the in-out box for four-wheel drive. This would have had a 3-speed manual in stock trim, and that big arm with a yellow tape on it, that is the controller for the hydraulic valve up and down. That household switch right there is definitely not UL approved. It's more like dirty underwear approved right there. Of course, UL means Underwriters Laboratories, but that's a household switch. But you know what? Somebody did that and made it work, and I applaud that. Make it work. I'll go around to the other side and we'll have another look inside this puppy. But again, the big cab on this arrived in '61 and was mounted lower on the frame than the 1960 era Dodge pickup. So again, it was lower to the ground, but with the four-wheel drive, it came up another 6 inches or so. But when we get back into the Power Wagons, this is the real deal right here. This is 1946 through 68. These are the Power Wagons that helped to win World War II. And this is actually a brochure from 1946. And the Army truck the boys wrote home about, now redesigned for peacetime use. And here it is right here, the Power Wagon. And some would say that Dodge committed an atrocity by using the mighty Power Wagon name on their lighter trucks starting in '69. But you know what? It's helped to sell trucks. So Shane, if you want, come around this side and we'll look at the trim tag and the VIN on this and learn more. Here's the hub on this side, still in place. It says free and lock right there. So you had to get out. This is long before Jeep's Quadra-Track or Select-A-Track or whatever it is, Select Drive. And you had to jump out. If you had your boots on, it was no big deal. But right here, here's the word Power Wagon right there, appearing for the first time in '69. And again, kind of controversial, but again, Dodge owned both and they can blend them if they want to, no big deal. Now this, of course, being a plow truck, nighttime visibility important. This is a Unity spotlight right here. Let's see if it still works. Yeah, kind of. And yeah, Unity was one of the big names, is the big name in spotlights. And this thing probably helped the driver of this thing focus on the snow plow and the pile of snow, the drift, and get it out of the way. And if you want to come down here, you'll see custom cab once again. There it is. It indicates the big rear window. And then we'll open the door, and then on the back down here, we'll see that VIN right down here, the trim tag, right in that ballpark right there. And it starts with 218. 21 is a W100 half-ton four-wheel drive. 8 is V8 power. And again, only 1,707 of these things were built with the V8. Very rare. And again, the short bed is the thing about this. It makes it kind of unusual. As a short bed, it may or may not be as prone to slipping as a long 8-foot bed. And again, you can put some weight back here to help it stick down while you're plowing. And again, a half-ton, not a 3/4 tonner. This has an 8 3/4 rear axle. And on that tag right there, we see the numbers 355. This has a 355, 8 3/4 rear axle. No Dana 60s in the half-tonners, but there's a good shot, probably a 50-50. This thing has a Sure Grip limited slip differential in it because it's a four-wheel drive truck. And you certainly want all 4 tires biting as hard as possible, and that means Sure Grip time. So 355s in the back of this thing, junkyard spotters, just saying, still here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking. And again, the front of this thing has the Dana Dana 44, again, the lighter axle up front, no 60s on the half-tonners, but again, the 318 under the hood. You could also get a 383 in these trucks in 1969. Pretty uncommon. Not sure if the 383 was possible with the four-wheel drive, not sure. But with that said, here's the 318 you saw in almost every single one of these things. The radiator's not stock. This is a later Japanese item, I think. It's thinner and weirder, but it seems like it works okay. Again, a lot of trucks like this in their 5th, 6th, and 7th owners, you know, the race to the bottom, hate to say it. These things basically were thrashed and just turned into work trucks like this one here. But with that said, with only 1,773 V8 and 6-cylinder, half-ton, four-wheel drive, W100s built in 69, this is one rare truck. Dare say it might be worth restoring, but that's not on me, that's on you. Now, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Seabags YouTube channel and hit the like button for sure. Ring the bell so that you know when the next video comes out, which is tomorrow morning. Every single day we put a new video out. And if you want to see more of these things, now there's like 350 Junkyard Crawl videos in the channel playlist. You name it, there's a video of it there. You can watch them for free right now if you want. In the meantime, come back tomorrow for more Junkyard Crawl.